Yo, this is Teresa Weatherspoon, better known as Teaspoon, and you're watching Real Fans, Real Talk.
Live from the can. Vibe you can.
This is Real Fans, Real Talk. Real Fans, Real Talk. We as real as you thought. Real Fans.
What's going on? Welcome to another live edition of Real Fans, Real Talk. Y'all know we still on the road to Peace Tour right now. Ballin for Peace is a few short days away. And, we got to bring the Ballin for Peace family through. Plus, we got some sports that we're going to talk about as well because, it's still NBA playoffs, NBA finals, going down right now. And so we're going to get to that in just a minute. Let me introduce my co-host first, my brother, Eric Sanchez, a.k.a. Legend in Two Games. What's going on, man?
What's really good, bro? You already know what time of year it is. Obviously, we got NBA finals, but Ballin for Peace going down this weekend. H is in the building, so we got a lot to get into. We got a special guest, so we got to get into all the activities for this weekend.
We got two special guests because we got three special guests. Now y'all see H is here, but then we got Mr. Ballin for Peace Jr. is in the building.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
As well.
Boy Aaron making his first TV appearance.
Look at this guy. You ain't tell us you had the boss baby tonight. You ain't tell us.
Yeah, boss man. I forgot. I'm on daddy duty. You know what I mean? So
hey,
it is. This is real life. This is real television right now. You know what I mean?
You already. And then this gentleman here, he probably doesn't really need an introduction because you probably already seen him on your TV screen because he been putting in some work these last couple of years with one of the biggest and brightest in Hollywood period, Tyler Perry. You may have seen him on the show. I think it's called The Oval. You may have seen him on The Oval. That's actually one of my favorite shows. Right now. But oh my goodness, we got the man, the myth, the legend, Nick Barrotta. What's going on,
man? I like that. I got to keep you close. That's a nice little intro there. I love it.
Listen, I tell you, when I people get mad at me because I watch so much stuff on TV, but I'm always on either BT or BT Plus, and The Oval, which is also connected to Ruthless, which is one of my other shows on BET Plus. So when I saw you at Ballin for Peace last year, I told H we got to get you on the show, and we back full circle because you will be coming back and again playing in the game.
Oh yeah, I'm stretching, man. I've been stretching. I've been warming up. I got to come back and keep this thing going. We got the W last year, so I gotta show up ready. We're gonna run it back, right, H?
Yeah, we're gonna run it back for sure. We're gonna have we're releasing the lineups tomorrow. Everybody's been asking who's playing on whose team. We kind of we kind of like had a little hiccup with the uniform, so we had to go. This is behind the scenes stuff. We had a hiccup. The uniform because of Eid, they weren't producing. They stopped working over there.
Oh, wow.
So we had to go. It's in process now. We had to go buy extra uniforms. We were getting them sponsored by Wooter, like we do every year, but the production had halted. So I couldn't wait to see if it's gonna get there in time or not. So I had to pivot. We ordered some new uniforms. They'll be here tomorrow. And it had to go stateside. So you know how much that is, right? You know what I'm saying? Because
there's always gonna be some hiccups, man. There's always gonna be hiccups.
Yeah. So, but we made it happen. We made it work, and we'll release the teams tomorrow. We already have the high school teams. We're gonna be competing in the high school all-star game, but we're gonna release those celebrity. Everybody's on pins and needles waiting to see what team they're on. So yeah.
I'm excited, man. I know I was with Shiggy not too long ago. We were chopping it up a little bit, getting ready too. So it's always fun, man. I'm happy to be back.
Yeah.
No, it's a fact. I'm gonna put up one of these fan questions first, Nick, because they got a couple of questions for you. Let me start with Pooh. Shout out to Pooh. Pooh says, Mr. Nick, was Duplicity your first feature film? How was it working on it, and how did you get the role?
Man, so yes, it was first feature film. It was so much fun. It really was a special project. Not only because it was my first feature film, but also because, it was another Tyler Perry project. And we were just talking about what that man has done for me in terms of my career, and he's changed my life. So to be able to go from the Oval and kind of, the TV sort of production to this bigger Hollywood production that was Duplicity, man, it was special. And the cast was just surreal. Tyler Lepley's my guy, such a talented dude. Kat Graham, phenomenal. Her and I have stayed close. Megan Tandy, Shannon Lanier, so many great actors and actresses that showed up for this one. So, we had a great time, and it premiered at #1. So not only was it my first feature film, but also for it to be so successful out the gate, #1 on Prime Video was so special. So it was amazing, first feature film. And how did I get the role? So Tyler's, what I'll say about him, Mr. Perry, is and people kind of know this from just hearing stories about how this man works. But when he finds people that show up to work and handle business the right way, obviously want to continue to get better and better, he's going to continue to sort of open more doors. So I feel like, he saw what I was putting in, the work I was putting in with the Oval, and obviously being now part of that show for so many seasons. I think, sort of the big man, right? The boss man in charge said, it's time to give this guy a next step here. And obviously he gave me a shot with the film, and it worked out. So I always got to show love to the boss, Mr. Tyler Perry, man. I wouldn't want to work for anybody else. That man is just as good as they get.
Let me piggyback really quick off of Pooh's question.
Yeah.
What's the biggest difference for you in filming the Oval versus filming a feature-length film like this?
Yeah, so it's a great question. I mean, so any Tyler Perry production is different from, any other production in Hollywood, because he shoots so fast. I mean, it's one take, maybe two if you're lucky, but he likes to get things done at really a crazy sort of unheard of pace. So again, 1-2 takes and you keep it moving. Obviously, with the Oval being a 22 episode show, there's a lot more material. So it actually was a little underwhelming, if I will say that, in terms of the film, because it was sort of only so many scenes compared to the series regular gig with the Oval. So in terms of the workload, the film actually kind of came a little bit easier, if I'm being honest. But at the same time, the stakes were a lot higher with the film. So, the pressure was on. And again, being around so many talented people, you wanted to show up and do your job, not only for, your peers and castmates, but again, for Mr. TP.
Can you speak to, as you mentioned, the difference in shooting a series as opposed to a major film, but the preparation as well? What's your prep time to get ready for these roles leading up to it, knowing that he wants to work at such a fast pace?
Yeah, well, that's probably one of the biggest challenges I've faced. The Oval's my first scripted gig, believe it or not. So I don't know if you guys want to take it back even further, but I was on Divorce Court with Judge Lynn Toler for a couple of seasons, and that was a little more unscripted sort of reality, if you will. So that was one thing, and then going into the Oval and having so much material, ultimately getting that series regular job, it was stressful. A lot of material, and I had to sort of figure out what was the best approach to it. Obviously, the memorization, right, and kind of leaning into my character, Alan. It took a lot of work. So when I'm looking back at season 1, all the way now to season 6, going on to season 7, the growth has been tremendous for me. So I always tell Tyler Perry and people that ask me, the Oval's been like a workshop. It's been like a boot camp for me, because again, just the pace at how we go and the prep and the time that goes into it. It's not that much time. You don't get the script, too far in advance. So again, you're getting thrown scripts pretty sort of close to that first shooting date, even. So it's crazy, but it's challenging in the best way. Yeah.
Let me pull up. Shout out to Devontae Harris. Devontae Harris once says you did some work with ET and Celeb Buzz.
Yeah, wow.
Who are some of the big names you've interviewed?
Oh man, well, that was sort of the original game plan for me. I always wanted to be in on screen in terms of TV and film, but I went to college for broadcast journalism, so a lot of my early days in the industry were more on the red carpets and interviewing celebrities at these different events. So I worked with Celeb Buzz, Entertainment Tonight, a couple of these outlets, but I interviewed so many people: John Legend, Terry Crews, Taraji P. Henson, even who I just reminded that of, when I saw at the Straw premiere last week, Khloe Kardashian, you name it, so many people, Victor Cruz and Odell Beckham, a lot of athletes. So the list goes on. And I truly believe, all that networking I did from the hosting and interviewing standpoint opened those doors for me, to become in the position to obviously, act full time.
What's that feeling like to be on the opposite end of the questions now, where you were preparing questions, now you have to prepare for what you're going to answer?
It's funny, when I walk a carpet or I'm doing some interviews, like I tend to always sort of feel like I still belong on the other side of the rope, because I do have such a passion for that side of it still. And you know what? Nowadays, you guys know, it's like you don't have to. You're not in one box anymore. You can do different things. So my goal is to get back to that side of things and host some stuff more and more as we continue to move forward. But it's interesting. There's a lot of full circle moments. And what's crazy is I'm seeing a lot of faces I used to work with, right? Because I'm getting interviewed by these different outlets, and I'm like, I used to work with the host or the producer or the publicist. So I'm seeing a lot of people, and they're special, kind of having the full circle moments.
Yes, sir.
I love those moments too, because I'm like a big, every season serves its purpose, but sort of living in that gratitude. So all these moments that happen, man, and especially when you start seeing these seeds that I planted 10 years ago, even starting to really blossom and come to light. Those are the best moments, man. Those are the best.
I'm gonna go to Hoop Baller Scoop. He got a question for both of you guys. Hoop Baller Scoop says, Haron and Nick, give me your top 5 players of all time and your GOAT. I'm assuming that he's talking about basketball.
I'll go first.
Go ahead, I'll go first on that. The GOAT, obviously, Michael Jordan. That's hands down. Now everybody else is kind of like, we'll go with Jordan. I'll go with Shaquille O'Neal. I'm gonna go with, man, this is tough.
Now we fill in the top 5, like a starting 5 each position, or just general talent wise.
So you can go about the list however you feel comfortable. One of the things that Trip and I started doing was kind of like best at every position.
Yeah. Okay.
Because it is very difficult to just name 5. You can include somebody. So it's up to you however direction you want to go.
Okay. Did we lose H? Is he back? Where'd he go?
Yeah.
I figured the boss baby might have wanted in on this
discussion.
Right. So we'll go with Michael Jordan as a GOAT. I'm gonna switch it up a little bit. Scottie Pippen is in my top 5.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy.
That is crazy.
And I like Scottie. I do like Scottie. I wore 33. I like Scottie.
Scottie Pippen, he's my favorite player of all time. Him and Allen Iverson. So I'm Shaquille O'Neal. I don't know why I can't. Steph Curry. He's in my top 5. And I don't know. I can't remember my 4th. Tim Duncan.
Tim at the 4.
Yeah. Shaq at the 5. Tim at the 4. Jordan. Pippen at the 3. Jordan at the 2, and Steph Curry at the 1.
All right. I'm with you. Shaq at the 5. See, I love Tim Duncan. I love him, and I know everybody puts him in that 4 spot, but I don't know, man. I might have to go. See, this is when it gets tricky for me, because I look at guys like coming up, like it was KG, right? AI, even T-Mac for me was my guy growing up. He was probably my favorite player. Back in high school, and I used to just love T-Mac and even Vince Carter. Like those guys were like I used to want to be like them, Obviously Michael Jordan's my GOAT, but if I'm going pure talent and building that starting 5, I'd obviously go Michael Jordan. He's the GOAT. I would go LeBron. I'd go the 3 spot's tough. The 3 and 4 is tough. Man, well, I feel like I'm in a hot seat right now. I don't want to ruin this. I've been asked it so many times. All right, let's go. I'm gonna go Mike, LeBron. I guess could I put Kobe at the 3?
It's your list.
It's your 5.
It's your 5. Just 5.
So Mike, LeBron, Kobe, Tim, Shaq.
That's a good 5.
I'm just keep it safe. I'm gonna keep it safe. But that's just me trying to. I could really sit on this for a while.
Yo, it's first off, pause. Second off,
massive pause.
Yeah. You said what on it, Nick? All right. Yeah. So we would say it's tough being in that. Fifth. Scottie Pippen is the top 50 player of all time. He's probably not in a lot of people's 50 top 5, but that dude was really, really special. You know what I'm saying? He was really special. You know what I mean? And playing alongside Michael Jordan, he had to create his greatness. He had to figure out how he can be alongside somebody who was so dominant. You know what I mean? And still got his just due. Karl Malone is never on people's top 5, even though he was the second leading scorer for a very long time of all time, but people don't, I don't know, they just never, But at the end of the day, I think that 5 is pretty solid.
Yeah, I mean, you can't even put Karl Malone in that conversation. Karl Malone, he's number 2 on the scoring list. That's more rooted in longevity.
Right.
You even during his prime, you never talk about Karl as if he was the greatest scorer of his era. Again, you play 20 plus years, you're gonna get a lot of opportunities, you're gonna get a lot of shots.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a fact.
Nick, are you a Knicks fan?
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's funny. I've been digging up some photos of me just because this season was special. But I was pulling up photos of me back in the day at some of those seasons where we were going through it.
Bagged over your head, yeah. Man.
You know what I mean? We were going through it. So I was trying to show it. I've been in the trenches with the Knicks. So just I was able to attend a couple of games. I was at game. What was it? Game 6. Boston. I was at the Garden, man. Crazy atmosphere. And then I was at one of the games against Indiana too. But yeah, man.
Game 1, right?
No, I wasn't game 1. It was
I would have cried if I was at game 1.
Yeah, that's crazy. But man, no, you know what? This even just seeing what it did for the city and just the seeing so many of the fans and the spirits were uplifted. It was special. So I'm happy we were able to experience that. I don't know what your guys' take is on Tibbs and then letting him go.
Just about to ask you.
Yeah, we're going. That's what the fans want to know too. Let me give you this question, Nick. Shout out to Ron Charles. He says best fit as Knicks head coach, and I'm going to add to that question before you answer.
Yeah,
should Tibbs have been let go?
I get it's a business, and obviously, there's got to be deeper reasons than maybe we're aware of. I'm sure it was a tough decision, but I personally loved him as the head coach and what he did again for us and the playoff run we had, not just this year but years in past. I mean, true contenders. I mean, when's the last time again we were in this? It's been 25 years, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, what he did for the team and for the city, it was special. So I was sad when that news broke, but again, you want to trust the front office and sort of hope that it's for the better. I don't know who I'd like to see as coach. I know there's some rumors going around. What was my guy's name from Mike? He was fired this season.
Mike Malone from
Denver. Yeah. Yep. I think he's a great coach and he'd be a good fit. A lot of people say Mark Jackson, it's time to bring him back. I remember him over at Golden State, and I like what he did over there. And I always felt like he had the respect from the players, and even him as an analyst, I always feel like he's got that those smarts and that approach to the game, which I like. So I don't know, maybe him too, but we'll see what happens. I don't know. I was a little sad though to see the news. I'm not gonna lie.
Eric and I have been trying to get Mark Jackson a job for the past 5 years.
See, all right, yeah, I would love him to come back. I mean, he's got that St. John's, Knicks. He's been around for a minute. Obviously, knows the game and had success with the Warriors. I think he'd be a good fit for sure.
Yeah,
he didn't coach anywhere else after the Warriors, right? That was and then he got let go. Yeah. So it's been a minute.
He hasn't gotten the opportunity other places. There's been rumblings behind the scenes as to why. You know, again, only Mark would know some of those interviews that are taking place. Yeah. But in terms of Nick's best fit, my initial reaction was that it should be Mike Malone.
Yeah.
I didn't think Tibbs deserved to be fired. I felt like the expectation.
I don't think Mike deserved to be fired either. If we're gonna say,
Mike did not. He did not. And there was a lot of things going on in Denver because not only was Mike let go, the GM was let go, which is crazy. You know, they were a top 3 seed for most of the season. Right. Obviously, they won a championship a couple seasons ago. So to kind of revamp your whole front office in the middle of the season, literally a week before the playoffs started, is a little crazy. But I thought it was a little unfair, Tibbs, because the goalposts moved on. You know, you go out and you trade for Cat, you trade for Mikal Bridges. Yeah. Though we expected this team to be good, I don't think we expect them to be a championship winner this first season. Right? When you consider you brought those 2 new pieces in. Josh Hart has only been there 2 seasons. OG Anunoby's only been there a year and a half. Brunson's been there 3 years. So it's not like
you think about what he's done. They haven't even really been vetted into the system yet.
Correct. They haven't gone through the wars together to say, all right, it is championship or bust. It's kind of like Tibbs has kept them very competitive, even though there's been a lot of turnover with that roster. Again, you look at where that roster was 3 years ago when Brunson got there, we were still relying on RJ Barrett. Right. Quickly, Julius Randle. Obi Toppin was on the team 3 years ago. Yeah. So there was a lot of young guys that we flipped for veteran pieces to get to where we're at. So then to say, hey, you didn't win it all, so now we got to let you go. But some of the things I did read were that the front office just grew frustrated with his lack of an offensive game plan. They felt like he wasn't really developing Cat as a defensive player, which is something that we saw in the Pacers series as well. Right. So my only take on it is if you're going to fire him, the upgrade's got to do the job now. You bringing somebody into a pressure-packed situation. Yeah. That's why I think it's got to be Mike Malone because if it's not Mike Malone, who else would you go? I don't want Coach Bud. Yeah. I'm not a big fan of Coach Budenholzer. I don't want Frank Vogel, and I don't want a first-time head coach. I think the job is too pressure-packed for you to bring in a first-time head coach. I know Johnny Bryant, who was the Cavaliers assistant, he was on our staff previously with Tibbs. He's a guy that's getting a lot of buzz right now. But to give this job to a first-time head coach, that's high expectations for a guy who's never had to handle that before. So I think it should be Mike Malone.
I agree with that. You think they would ever give Brunson what's his name?
Rick Brunson?
I wouldn't give him the starting job.
That might be a conflict of interest too, right?
Yeah, it's a major conflict of interest. Like if Rick Brunson becomes your head coach and then right out the gate, Brunson is taking 30 shots a game still, it's like, all right, what do we change then?
That's been done before though, right? Doc Rivers and Austin.
Yeah, but Austin wasn't the star player though. Austin was brought in as a bench guy, whereas Brunson is our number 1 guy.
That would be awkward.
But what intrigues me about Mike Malone though is we have seen Mike Malone in a similar situation with Denver where he created an offense around Joker and Jamal Murray. Yeah. That led them to a championship. So if you're the Knicks, that's what I want. I want you to bring some sort of system in place that can elevate my 2 best guys to get us over the hump now.
Yeah, you said it spot on. I agree with you completely. And that's what I feel like a lot of the Knicks fans are hoping for. The more I see the comments and people chatting, I think it's going back to him. So I think he's definitely a fan favorite.
That's a fact. Now, Nick, our supporters here, they do their homework. So sometimes they have questions that we don't even think about. And Haron's shout out to Imani. She said you got a cute baby. Just wanted to put that out there.
Shout out to Imani, a major supporter of the show. We greatly appreciate it.
Yeah. So
Imani Williams, is that who I'm seeing here?
Yeah, Imani Williams. Well, she's also talking about the Knicks. So we the last couple of weeks we've been doing a lot of Knicks talk.
Imani, you don't have to worry. We're not talking about the Pistons. Their season ended by Mother's Day. We don't speak on those teams. We don't speak on those teams that lose in the first round.
So apparently you have an amazing grandma.
Oh man.
So shout out to Devontae Harris. He says talk about your amazing grandma.
Yeah, she just turned 98 actually, end of April.
God bless her.
God bless. Happy birthday.
She's got more energy than me. She's literally. We actually did. Have you ever guys have that hibachi? You go to hibachi night. We had that at the house yesterday, and she was taking a sake. She was catching. She's always down for a good time. But 98. She's always dancing the night away. We actually do a lot of funny trends on TikTok. Get crazy views on that thing, but she's always just dancing the night away, man. Very special, and it's crazy to have her, still at 98 and so with it. Her attitude day to day and the way she just approaches life is just so amazing and inspiring. Very blessed. People joke around that like she's everybody's grandma at this point,
How does she see like her reaction when she's watching you on the Oval, on Duplicity?
She loves it. She loves it. She she runs around and goes to church and the supermarket, always just bragging about me and all my brothers, and her. She got a lot more grandkids, so she's the number one fan. She's the number one fan. And actually, it's funny. She loves Tyler Perry too. So we'll FaceTime her, send him videos, and he loves her, man. They actually sort of have a little bond now over the years, just because again she's just a special lady, and she's always just tell Mr. Perry I'm praying for him. It's great. It's great. She's amazing.
You gotta love it. Shout out to Grandma, man.
That's it. Yeah, you got to check out TikTok. She's on there with me.
Nice.
Yep.
Shout out Tyson. Tyson says, Nick, how did you meet Tyler Perry and get on the Oval? And had you done any small acting before the Oval?
So yes, I did I had some smaller roles, some commercial work. Nothing too major, but little credits here and there. I was chipping away. But I got a call about divorce court. I don't know if you guys were taking it back now to probably 2018, 17. Divorce court, Judge Lynn Toller, actually the longest running court show, I believe, in history of television. Still going, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. But I got the call to audition for that and ended up getting the gig, but it filmed at Tyler Perry Studios. And I kid you not, when I got the call and I got the job, I remember thinking to myself, I was so excited that it was at Tyler Perry Studios. I've been a fan of him and his work, and obviously he's such a pioneer in this industry. Just to get on the same studio and the lot, I was so excited. And I remember telling myself, there's a bigger reason I'm getting this job. I just felt like it was going to just be a stepping stone into something bigger. And it's exactly what it was. I ended up meeting Tyler himself as he was kind of doing, circling the lot and checking on, all the productions going on. And, we hit it off. My Judge Lynn and I sat with him a bit, and he was asking me, he's like, "What are you looking to get into more scripted acting?" And I told him, I was like, I've always wanted to do more TV and film. And fast forward a few months later, he had an audition for me for the Oval. It was really that simple. I always say about him, he's like, we spoke a bit before we got on here, but he just is so focused now on opening doors for other people and helping people sort of find their groove and ultimately bring these dreams to reality. He did that for me. He does it for so many people. I've seen it now time and time again. I always say he's such a bright light, that he allows others to find their way, and that's exactly what he did for me. So I'm always grateful. I tell him every chance I get, but yeah, he gave me the shot, and we're still making moves to this day. So very special guy.
No, you gotta love that, because I've been a fan of Tyler Perry since I can remember. And at Mother's Day, I took my mom, I gotta be maybe 10 years ago now, to see Medea's Clash Reunion. And this is before Tyler Perry was on everything in TV and film.
Yeah.
And so to see him still push those actors from the plays, and then you look up and it's like, wait a minute, he got Cora over here, he got Brown, he got
still working, still working.
Yeah, it's an incredible thing. And then the opportunities that he's given to so many new and up and coming actors as well. Like you got to give him his praise, man, because he's really putting on for us.
It's amazing. And like you said, you see a lot of the same faces. He definitely wants to keep people under that Tyler Perry umbrella. And I'm just blessed to sort of be one of those guys now. And now between the Oval and Duplicity, it's just been an amazing run. And I still consider myself sort of like a new actor, if you will. It's only been a few years, so I'm hoping we just keep building here. And again, having him in my corner as a mentor and a friend at this point has been life-changing. So yeah, shout out TP, man. And you guys, you said it, right? We said it before. #1 on Prime, #1 on Netflix, BET Plus shows, BET, right? He's got deals here, deals there. I don't know how he does it all, but the biggest blessing for me has just been watching him navigate and operate. Because as a businessman too, you got to remember, like, this is a billionaire at this point who's self-made, you know. Even at his studio is 330 some acres down in Atlanta. He did it all himself. Like that's why he's got a lot of haters. You know, when you're at that point, you're going to have them, but the respect level that he has from so many, I've seen the Mark Wahlbergs, the Jessica Albas, these actors that want to get into directing and ultimately, you know, really even having a studio one day. They look at Tyler Perry like that guy. It's crazy. So the love is there, man. The love is there too.
Absolutely. Let me go to this next fan question. All right, Pooh up here wilding again. All right, yeah. All right, let me hold on. Let me go to a different. All right, here we go. I'm gonna go to shout out to Brandon Chambers. Pooh, we're gonna get to your comment, but we're gonna say some. We got some of our female supporters. They like to ask us messy questions, so we're gonna save those questions.
Hey, we'll take a little. We can take some messy questions. That's all right.
All right, we'll get. All right, so I'm gonna come back to your question after this one. Brandon Chambers says, Nick, did you play any sports coming up in high school?
Yeah, I played football, basketball. My first dream, early on, was I thought, listen, I wanted to be playing for the Knicks, right? We actually had a pretty good high school team, though. It's funny, I did an interview recently, and we were talking hoops, and man, I started getting antsy again because they're bringing back these old memories. So on Long Island, we actually lost my county championship senior year to Tobias Harris. Still playing
Long Island too, yeah.
Yeah, so he beat us. We lost 2 points. We lost by 2 to his Hills West team, and he was a sophomore, I want to say, when I was a junior. But man, he was putting up numbers, man. But I love basketball always, and still to this day, obviously, big basketball guy. So that was always my favorite sport coming up.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
All right, let me go back.
Shout out to Tobias Harris, man. If you see this, it's all good, bro. It's all good now. The rivalry's over.
If y'all get the rematch though, you gonna take it?
Oh, always. Me and my guys. So we run into, I've seen him around a bit, and we see a lot of the guys that play for Hills West too. There's always like a fun rivalry. We still chirping it when we can,
Yeah, no, that's what's up, man.
Yeah.
Shout out to Tobias Harris.
Yeah,
Pooh says, "Hey Nick," and I'm gonna have to say pause just to read this comment. You have a great body. How often do you work out?
Pooh, thank you. I appreciate you. I try to work out as much as I can. Nowadays it's just to maintain and stay healthy. I feel like I'm slowing down a little bit now, getting up there. I'm probably in the gym 4 or 5 days a week. I actually have a good buddy of mine that I grew up with that opened up a gym near me here. So we train together, and he's been putting me through a program. And if I'm being honest, it's also a part of the industry, right? You want to kind of stay sharp and stay healthy and stay on top of your game. So I try and stay consistent as possible. So, as much as I can, really. But I appreciate you.
And then Pooh also wants to know, before you met and married your wife, were you a wild boy, ladies?
Who's trying to take us there, huh? Yeah, I mean, look, I like to think so, right?
Some of our supporters will take you down this winding road that Nick's a married man. Nick, you don't have to answer these questions.
No, look, you know what? Listen, I mean, back in the day, I don't know if I was wild, but we had our fun. It was we had some fun. I'll leave it at that. And now married man, family's growing, and that's the best. That's the best part of it all. So,
All right, we're gonna take one of these basketball questions.
but I appreciate you.
Yeah. Okay. Tyson says, does SGA deserve more credit for this playoff consistency that we're seeing?
I mean, I think he's just a beast. I mean, the guy is unbelievable. I mean, MVP, right? That says enough right there. So I love his game. I've loved his game for a while now. I mean, you could just tell the growth and how he's become, such a young face of this league. So I don't know. I mean, I think he's getting a ton of credit. I mean, obviously, what year is he in? He's still pretty early on for him, right?
So I believe this is year 7 for him.
Yeah. So I mean, what he's accomplished already. I mean, and I feel like I've been hearing his name, arguably, one of the best guys in the league, period, for a few years now.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he's getting a lot of love. So I don't know about more, but I listen. I'm giving him a lot of credit myself. I'll say that.
I think he deserves. I mean, if we're going to say if the question is more or less, yeah, he deserves more credit. It was one of the things that everybody talked about. Could he carry them in the playoffs? Could he do more for them than he did last year when they lost in the second round of the playoffs? They played 18 playoff games. Those 18 playoff games.
You still don't think he's getting the love he deserves, though. I feel like finally, if people had any doubts, now it's like
I think he's silenced a lot of critics. I've been a big SGA fan for a while. I've talked about it here on the show and on my podcast as well. That I think he's right in that conversation with Joker. I think Joker's the best player in the world, and SGA should be talked about as the second best player in the world. But again, just looking back at last year's playoffs and coming into this year, there were questions about could he be the guy on a championship team, and I think he's proven that. Right. So to Tyson's point, yeah, he deserves more credit because right now you see night in, night out. Again, 13 of 18 playoff games, he scored 30-plus points. Against Minnesota, he scored 30 in 4 of those 5 games. Right. Against Denver, he scored 30 in 5 of those 7 games. He scored 30 in both finals games so far.
And you got to remember, too, I feel like the Western Conference is a whole nother beast, too, right?
Well, the West is different than the East. I think that the East, it was a little more balanced.
Like if you're looking at a guy like Halliburton, right? It's like, I don't want to say he had an easier playoff road, but I do think like, the Denver team and even Minnesota right now, you look at they all could have been they're all championship caliber teams. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like, if you look at a guy like SGA too, I feel like he had. I don't want to say. I know the East has some dogs now, but I feel like people still look at the West like such a stronger, tougher conference.
That's fair. I mean, and to use that then as the point, right? So he goes up against Joker, and everybody's saying, well, should he be MVP over Joker? Joker's best player in the world. He scores 30 in 5 of those 7 games. He goes up against Anthony Edwards, and they flash a comment where Anthony Edwards says, I'm just as good, if not better, than SGA. And then he goes out and scores 30 and 4 of those 5 games. And again, don't forget, in the Denver series, they lose game 1 on a buzzer beater by Aaron Gordon. They're down 2-1 in that series. They go 7 games. He had to carry them and be consistent when some of his younger teammates weren't ready for that moment. So I think he deserves a lot of credit for what he's done so far. And game 2 is another example of that. They lose a heartbreaking game 1. He comes out and puts together another MVP caliber performance in game 2 to make sure they even up the series.
Yeah. No, he's different. He's different.
All right. So would you rather have a memorable finals moment but lose, or win a finals that no one remembers?
Yeah, this makes me think of the bubble, and the Lakers. I feel like people always sort of, I don't know how you guys feel about that, but like I almost feel like it didn't feel the same, obviously, right? And I feel like I'm even like people have looked at LeBron and almost said that was that. Sure, they won, but that was in the bubble. Like they belittle it, But I guess to answer the question, I mean, I'm still going to want to take the trophy home, and then it's there. But I'll make you remember, I guess. I'll remind you,
Anytime I see questions like this, I always think back to White Men Can't Jump.
Right.
Wesley's like, I'd rather look good and lose than look bad and win.
10 years ago, or like the younger mindset maybe I had, I would have been like, nah, man, but now, I feel like having that championship solidified, locked in, that's forever,
Yeah, that's one of the things when you talk about a champion, you don't sit back and like comb through the stats of each game.
Exactly.
You see he's the champion.
Exactly.
Now, I mean, to be fair to Nick's point, right? Like Jimmy Butler was great in those finals in the bubble. They just played a really good team. So Jimmy Butler gets to hang his hat on that and say, hey, look, I went to war with those guys and we just weren't good enough to win. Right. If that's your only opportunity, you want to play your best finals. But ultimately, everybody wants to be a champion. That's a lot easier to explain to people than saying, hey, we went, but we lost.
Right.
Yes, Ron, I count that Lakers title because they put in work for that. Don't do that.
I count it too, but I think there's a lot of people that oversee it was my point. I think that unfortunately, obviously, the circumstances just kind of it felt different. But it's still there. Stack the win, stack the chip.
Tyson says, looking back, is it safe to say the Suns got worse trading for Durant? Hell, they didn't make the play-in. The Suns before KD were better. They went to the finals. They were deeper. Yeah, they were, and they gave up a lot to get Kevin Durant. They pretty much gave up their depth and their defense to get Kevin Durant, just to get worse every year that he's been there, and now he's about to be on his way out. And the trade value that that you had to give up to get Kevin Durant, you're not even going to get that in return for for trading Kevin Durant, because he's older now. I believe Durant is 36 now. But what do you guys think?
I don't even remember who they give up. I don't even remember.
Well, it was Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson. There was another player in there along with some draft picks
okay.
For the KD trade.
Yeah. I mean, I thought the Suns would have been a much better team once KD got there, and I feel like it's been sort of a disappointment, obviously, since he's been there, and I don't know. I think I do agree. I feel like he's sort of fizzling out. I don't know if you guys think he'll be back.
No, he's out of there.
I think not even making the play-in is kind of critical with having a roster with Bradley, Bradley Beal, Devin Booker, and Kevin Durant all on the same team.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Not making the play-in game is next level, right? So, and then Durant, and he constantly injured. He's constantly injured. It's like he can't stay on the court. He's one of the best players to ever play this game, but I just feel his demeanor and his attitude towards the game has always just been, I'm just a hooper, which is cool, but when you're a franchise player and people pouring into you, when it gets tough, I feel like he always leaves. Like when it gets a little, where critical, where if he sticks it out, and like with OKC, no way he should have left. They were up 3-1. And then he goes to the Warrior team that won 73 games, like that season that beat them when they were up 3-1 in the series. Like then he goes to Brooklyn. Brooklyn pays this man just to rehab. They paid him a whole year just to rehab. And then they traded, they got rid of all these coaches and everything like that. And then one thing he doesn't like, he's out. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And now he's doing the same thing in Phoenix. It's like you can't keep running from the grind, man.
Well, I mean, it's to go back to the original question. I think Phoenix got worse not just because of the trade. I think they lost their identity. When you look at who that team was and the balance they had with Chris Paul, with Devin Booker, with DeAndre Ayton, and then having those young role players, they have more balance. And then also, Monty Williams deserved a lot of credit for turning that around. Phoenix was bad for a lot of years. And remember, in the bubble, we're going to go back to the bubble, they had that little bit of a run. They had a winning streak that kind of built momentum for the following season, which is when they actually made the NBA Finals. So KD going there kind of shook their foundation. They went from a team that was building something around a young core to just star chasing. And then it was Kevin Durant. And then it was, let's also go get Bradley Beal now and create this big three in Phoenix, as opposed to just building it up. And to H's point, like staying with the grind, just continue to do what we're doing. Yeah. I think Kevin Durant is a phenomenal talent, but I've been very critical of him. And I said before, I think he's a culture killer. He killed the culture that the Nets were developing. You remember before he got there with D'Angelo Russell and those young guys, they made the playoffs with Kenny Atkinson. Right. As soon as he came into Brooklyn, they got Kenny Atkinson fired. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Then he brought in.
Now look at what Kenny's done with
Cleveland. Right. And then like not only gets Kenny Atkinson fired, he wants to bring in Steve Nash, who's his friend. Steve Nash can't do the job. Then Steve Nash gets fired. Right. And then when Jacques Vaughn tried to lay down the law as to no, we're gonna get back to a structure here. KD didn't want that. He wanted out of Brooklyn. Right. He goes to Phoenix. He gets Monty Williams fired. He gets Frank Vogel fired. He gets Coach Bud fired. So everywhere he's gone, it's just been a trail of coaches, like dead bodies left behind, because it's not what KD wants. So I think Phoenix is going to have to really break down the roster at this point. He's on the last year of his deal, so he's definitely out of there. Where he lands is going to be critical, because if you're any team, he's 37 years old. Right. I'm not saying the talent isn't there, but one, I'm not going to give up a lot for a guy who's 37 years old on an expiring contract. And two, you're going to come in and buy into our system. You're not going to come here and then reshape our franchise just because you're Kevin Durant. Because, again, you're a 37-year-old Kevin Durant. We're not talking about a 27-year-old Kevin Durant. So I think he's definitely out of there, and Phoenix got to hit restart on their organization.
Crazy.
That's a fact. Tyson, one more from him. He says the Ringer, I guess they dropped their top 10 players list. They got Jokic at 1, SJ at 2, Giannis at 3, Luka at 4, Curry 5, Ant-Man 6, Halliburton 7, Mitchell 8, Brunson 9, Tatum 10, and then they got Braun at 12 and Durant at 14, which is funny
Crazy.
because I had Braun at 12 last week. I said he was the 12th best player in the league.
The new era, man, it's crazy.
Do you guys agree with this list? I'm going to tell you one space that I feel like Halliburton. Well, I definitely feel like Jason Tatum should be ahead of Brunson, Mitchell, and Halliburton. Like I feel like that's kind of disrespectful to Jason Tatum. But other than that, I'm good. But what do you guys think about this list?
I'm putting Brunson Brunson should be over Luka. Brunson. Brunson in front of Luka.
I can't let you do that.
I'm putting Brunson number 4. Luka switching out to Luka will be 14 on my list.
Bruh. Yo, Ron,
Steph Curry, keep him number 5. Ant-Man number 6. I will put Jason Tatum in front of Halliburton. And then switch that out. Halliburton will be number 13. And yeah, those are the changes that I'll make.
Shout out to Ron. Y'all think me and Tatum got an issue. I tell you all the time, I think Tatum is a great player, but he got a lot of room to grow.
Tatum is.
I love Tatum. I mess with Tatum.
Tatum's like that player. He's gonna go out and do what he do, and worry about how he looks more like doing it than actually getting it done.
That's funny.
Like he takes so many threes, and when he should be driving to the basket, throwing it on people, like it's insane. He's too cool. It's like I'm gonna do this move. He's thinking about I'm gonna do this, then I'm gonna step back, and then I'm gonna run back like this. I don't know.
I 1000% agree. That's why I say I think his game still has a lot more room to grow. When that flip really goes off and he realizes I'm 6'8", 6'9", and can get to the basket on anybody, he's gonna be damn near unstoppable. But as long as he continues to settle for 12 to 14 3-pointers a game, we're gonna see moments like we saw in the playoffs where he could look great one game and then he could look terrible another. He's gonna be hot and cold. In terms of this list, H, you my man, but you bugging. Luka, there's no way Luka drops all the way down to 14.
What is Luka doing?
All right, well, hold on. Let's put it in.
You know how I feel about Luka.
I'm grabbing my charger. Hold on.
You can. That's fine. You can have your personal feelings about Luka, right? Just like the Tatum comment came up, right? I have my personal feelings about Tatum, but I would never disrespect Tatum and say Tatum's not a top 10 player. Tatum is a top 10 player. Now, this list is rooted in how this season ended going into next season. That's really the only reason Tatum's at number 10, because we know with the injury, he's going to miss most of next season. So he's going to be a borderline top 10 player. There is no way Tyrese Halliburton should be above Jason Tatum on any list. Like, let's cut it out, bro. Neither one of them guys. And if we want to talk about Luka and what Luka hasn't done, last time I checked, Luka has been a first-team All-NBA guy and an NBA Finals guy more times than Anthony Edwards. So how is Anthony Edwards number 6 on the list, but you're going to say Luka will go to number 14?
That's because Luka played with LeBron this year, and it took him.
So what about before that? Hold on, Age. You forget when Luka didn't have help. When Luka didn't have help, and Luka was going to war with every team in the West, going 7 games with a stacked Clipper team, and who Luka had? An injured Porzingis?
Yeah, let me tell you this. My feelings about Luka, it will never change. Like Luka,
that's fine. But let's be honest in our assessment. Let's not say he's not a top 10 guy. Again, you may not. I'm not the biggest Braun fan either. But when people talk about Braun, I got to give him his kudos for what he's accomplished in the game. Just because you don't like him personally doesn't affect where he's actually at in the game. He's the top. Come on.
I don't know him personally, but his game I don't like. He complains to the refs. Everything the foul. He walks back on. He's Julius Randle on defense. Right? When he gets a turnover, he's throwing his hands up. I don't rock with that. And he is not in my top 5, not in my top 10. He is what he is. And
so you truly believe that Halliburton and Anthony Edwards are better players?
No, Halliburton should not be in front of Luka Doncic. Halliburton should be he didn't even get any run on the Olympics. Like he's a decent player, but he's playing in Indiana. That's why he's doing what he's doing, because he's in Indiana and they're just giving him the keys. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but you got.
I don't agree. I don't agree.
That sounds like a lot of hate, man. I'm sorry.
It sounds like hate on who? Who on Luka?
You definitely hating on Luka because he with Braun now. So we know you hate on Braun.
For me, I'll say this: Brunson should be ahead of Ant-Man, Halliburton, and Mitchell. Brunson should be at 6.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think Halliburton. I don't even know if Halliburton. Is he even a top 10 player? I mean, maybe now after this run, you can consider it. But I mean,
right. This list to me is more recency bias. This is more about what he's done in these playoffs.
Right.
But nobody had Halliburton as a top 10 player coming into these playoffs. And even if you look at game 1, right, he gets all the kudos for hitting the game winning shot in game 1. He played terrible in game 1. He just has the moment of the game, but he didn't play well in that game. He's another one that's very hot and cold. You could catch him on the right night and he could look the way he did in game 4 against the Knicks, where he has the perfect game pretty much of a triple-double. And then you can catch him on nights like game 5 where he takes 6 shots and he's a non-factor the whole game. Or game 1 where he really has no moment until the end of the game, but a bunch of turnovers at times, a guy who can be very passive. Halliburton to me is not a top 10 guy. I think Donovan Mitchell.
How about this? Before this playoff run, would you have put Devin Booker over Halliburton?
Absolutely.
Me too.
Devin Booker is still over Halliburton. Like,
I think we had a whole conversation, and we had a whole conversation about point guards. I think he's one of the point guards. Halliburton might be like the 6th best point guard in the league.
I got him top 5.
Okay, hold on. Let me ask you this, Haron.
Because pure point guards. He's one of the purest point guards.
He's one of the last pure point guards.
Yes. So,
but if we're just saying point guards, he's not better than Shea. He's not better than Luka.
Yeah, he's not better than Steph Curry.
He's not better than Steph. I don't think he's better than Trae Young.
I don't think he's better than Trae either. But let me ask you
I don't think he's better than Trae.
We're gonna end this one. You got the number 1 pick in the draft. You honestly gonna tell me you picking Halliburton over Jason Tatum?
No, no.
Are you picking Halliburton over Luka with the number 1 pick in the draft?
No.
Okay, thank you. I'll rest my case.
But we're talking about Halliburton and
because in regards to this list, and where like H, hold on. If the news broke tomorrow and they said, hey, Halliburton for Luka got traded straight up, who lost that trade?
I think it's an even swap. Like,
stop. Come on, you frying. Come on.
All right, I would pick Luka over Halliburton. I would have him over Halliburton.
That's what I'm saying. If they got traded straight up, you would say the team that took Halliburton lost that trade.
Yeah, but you saw AD for Luka straight up was kind of crazy. Like,
I mean, Dallas lost that trade too. Nico Harrison just got lucky, but they lost that trade too.
We haven't even said Kyrie point guard play.
Right.
He ain't better than Kyrie. I'm sorry. He ain't better than Kyrie. All right, let me go to Brandon Chambers' comment. Allen Iverson turns 50. Shout out to the answer, AI. What has his impact been on basketball to you? Well, clearly he changed the game from style and fashion, but also, from a heart standpoint, man, the impact that he had on the game, AI was fearless. He's definitely, one of the 50 greatest. He's on that list to be maybe 6 foot tall and to accomplish what he was able to accomplish, to take, maybe the only other team that you could probably compare to the team that he took to the finals is probably the team that LeBron took to the finals when they played the Spurs the first time. But to bring those guys to an NBA finals, to get a regular season MVP, I mean, it's just a legend, man. Shout out to AI, man. Happy 50th, man.
That's crazy.
Happy 50th. He's definitely an icon. Changed the game. When you consider how physical the NBA was at that time, and for him to be your best player, and again, we talk about going through the wars, and you look at that playoff run they went on to go to the NBA Finals, to have to beat Vince Carter in 7 games, to beat that Milwaukee team that had Ray Allen, Sam Cassell, and Big Dog Glenn Robinson in 7 games. And then they were the only team to get a win off the Lakers in that playoffs. And again, AI, though he was 6 feet, played like a 7-footer in terms of physicality, always going to the basket, always on the ground, dishing out punishment. I I don't think enough things can be said about Allen Iverson's game and what he did for the culture and sports in general. He changed everything in terms of the way guys wearing the arm sleeve on the court, the tattoos, the braids, everything. He, aside from Mike, he changed the way we looked at basketball plays.
Yeah, I've read now, aside from Mike, and then people saying Steph obviously just changing the game, but AI is obviously up there still, as one of the top guys to ever shift just the culture in general. Mm-hmm. I mean, for me, I said T-Mac was my guy, but AI was up there too. I had the AI sweatband. I had the AI to zip up the shoes, with the zipper up the middle. Remember that one? I actually met him recently at Super Bowl weekend, and it was just a quick minute, but dapped him up and told him, obviously was such a big fan growing up still to this day. And he was dope, man. I feel like ever since Kobe passed, there's a lot of guys now that lean into these fan interactions and really embracing the fans and the retired guys. I mean, yeah. But because there was that moment I love between him and Dwayne Wade when they were hugging in the I don't know if you got in the tunnel. Do you guys ever see that? But I think it speaks volume about kind of his personality. But I'll end with this. I think that it also says a lot when you look at a guy like Michael Jordan, like a guy like LeBron James, all these GOATs, right, that still talk about Allen Iverson and the impact that he had on them when it comes to heart and the physicality. I think that it's just one. He's just one of one. I mean, it's just it's that simple.
Yeah, shout out to AI. 50 years old. Him and Jadakiss both just turned 50 years old. Shout out to them, and they had that legendary commercial too.
Reebok commercial.
That Reebok commercial, that was fire. But he was literally my favorite player. I had braids because of AI. Wore number 3 because of AI. Like, I used to try to cross over like AI. And Matt Barnes gifted me AI's arm sleeve that says the answer on it. I still have it to this day when he played with AI in Philadelphia for that short stint. But shout out to one of the GOATs, and they changed so many rules from him. They took his crossover away. He still was killing them. You know what I mean? But shout out to AI.
Eric, they want to know about your shaky encounter with Allen Iverson.
I would categorize it like that. I talked about it before. I would just say it was more disappointing than anything. I don't want to put too many details out there because I don't want to put it on blast where we met. But long story short, man, I think he had too much to drink during happy hour. And
I must have caught him before the party.
Maybe. I mean, I think to me, what was the most disappointing about it, like I said, if we had the list like celebrities, some of our followers and supporters have asked before, like, oh, who's somebody who had you starstruck? It's not. I would say he had me starstruck, but it was one of those like I want to shake his hand. You know what I'm saying? Like I gotta shake AI's hand, and he was just in a really bad condition at the time. And then to hear like his boy that was with him that was trying to like get him together was like, don't take it personal, because AI came across as a bit of an a-hole in that moment. Yeah. So like I said, I don't hold it against him. Maybe he was served a little bit too much during happy hour, and like I said, I wouldn't call it a shaky encounter, nothing like that. It was just unfortunate because it was somebody I really wanted to meet, and in that moment, he wasn't himself. I'll put it like that.
I've had moments like that too, man, where like you look at these idols of yours,
right?
And it was like sometimes you're almost like I don't even want to say hi because I don't want it to be a bad encounter. It's going to ruin my idea. So I remember Will Smith, favorite actor growing up. He made me, Fresh Prince. I was like, he's still one of the GOATs for me. But at the opening of Tyler Perry Studios, I remember saying to myself, I'm like, I gotta go up and say hi, and I was like, this is gonna kill me if he's if he's an a-hole, right? Or if he's just gonna push back. But man, he was so welcoming, gave me a big hug. I was telling him, I used to have the Fresh Prince poster on the wall growing up, and took a picture, and man, he was great. So it made it that much cooler, when you meet these guys, you meet these idols of yours, and they are, just as dope as you hope. So, but I get that though, because it's nerve-wracking, because you're like, man, this might put a whole different taste in my mouth,
Pause.
Damn, I'm striking out with these, man.
Pause.
I knew that was coming.
But Nick, you're 1,000% correct. Because again, seeing him from a distance, like I got to try to shake his hand.
Right,
you know what I'm saying? I don't know if I'm ever going to get this opportunity to meet him again.
Right.
And that's why I say I don't want to issue on his name and make it seem like AI was such a terrible guy. Listen, it might have just been in a moment, caught him at the wrong time.
Yeah, maybe
but I still everything I say, I firmly believe AI changed things. And as you said, I had the sneakers, I had the headband, I had the cornrows in high school, all because of AI. I would never deny that.
Thanks.
My first official basketball jersey was AI.
Crazy, huh?
So much love to AI. Shout out to Will Gordon. What it do, baby? And this is for you, Nick. How many scorn lovers used to try to holler at you on divorce court? That's my show.
I'll be honest. They were some of the realest fans of that show. They were locked in every week. It was crazy, but I definitely got some crazy messages and DMs from the divorce court fans. But man, it was all love. It was all fun. We'll leave it at that. You know, definitely some of the view photo, view video. I had to click on it. I said, "Oh man, that's crazy." Got some real extra love from the divorce court fans. So shout out to everybody that tuned in, man. The love was real.
Ron Charles says we had a little debate at my job. Kyrie Irving didn't make the top 75, but Damian Lillard did. So to y'all, who's the better player? And Kyrie got a ring too. I don't know.
Yo, Dame Lillard is great, man. When people have like injuries like that, like he just tore his Achilles, people kind of talk down to what those players have done. Dame led the Portland Trailblazers against challenging teams, going up against the Lakers with Kobe and things. Like Dame is a really, really, really good basketball player. And he hasn't really messed with Giannis so much with the Milwaukee Bucks, but that shouldn't take away from his greatness. You know what I mean?
They're both
I think even
great.
in this question, I was gonna say even in this question, not fair to bring up Kyrie having a ring because Kyrie got that ring as the second guy with LeBron. We know outside of his time with LeBron, Kyrie hasn't had as much success. Whereas Dame had to carry that Portland team for a lot of years in the stacked Western Conference, especially when the Warriors were at their peak. Dame couldn't measure up to them. But
I don't even think Kyrie made the playoffs as a number one guy on the team.
No, he struggled
before LeBron got there, and then after that,
he made. If we want to give him credit for making the playoffs with Boston, when he was still the number one guy there, that was before Tatum and those guys became the superstars that they are now. We could say that. It's tough, man, to say who's the better player. I think I lean more towards Dame. I think Kyrie has a lot in his bag, but if we're talking about like just more complete player, I think Dame is probably a little bit more of a complete player than Kyrie is.
Yeah, I mean, that's tough. I do love Kyrie. I mean, I think that one of the best ball handlers ever. But I agree. I think maybe Dame is just a more complete player. But that's tough. That's tough. I do think, though, Kyrie Irving was deserving of top 75 because he has the accolades that, and he's had those moments, but I don't know. Today, if you ask me, I lean towards Dame in terms of just having the X factor at this point.
All right, let me see here. Hold on, I see one more. Okay. Okay. Shout out to Janetta Johnson. She says, "Do y'all think this offseason is going to be a lot of major changes? What should the Warriors do?" It's definitely going to be a couple changes because I do feel like Kevin Durant will be out of Phoenix.
Giannis.
There's also a possibility that Giannis could be on the move. And as far as the Warriors, I mean, they still need a big man, and they could use some more shooting too.
You guys think the Knicks will make any moves in terms of the I guess the big three, if you want to say at this point? Like people are saying maybe Cat. But I don't know what the contract is or what the deal is, but people are saying there might be some movement. I'm not sure what you guys take on that is.
I think they will. Yeah. Go ahead, Eric.
No, I think it depends on the head coach. If the rumors are true that Jason Kidd is one of their top candidates, if they bring Jason Kidd over, then I firmly believe that they're going after Giannis because Kidd and Giannis have a great relationship.
Yes.
And And I would think that would be one of the things that would be the selling points of Jason Kidd. Now, it gets tricky because Jason Kidd is under contract. So to get him away from Dallas, you got to give something up, whether some future draft assets, whatever it may be, buy him out that contract to then try to flip for Giannis. And if you're going to make a move for Giannis, Karl Anthony Towns got to be in that trade.
Right.
So that's where it gets tricky. In terms of Janette's question, I think there's going to be movement, but on the trade market. I don't think free agency is going to be a big play this offseason because with the new cap penalties and first apron, second apron, teams don't really have the money to go after. And there's not going to really be a big name free agent this offseason. I think the biggest name free agent is probably going to be Julius Randle. But I think trade market is where you're going to see it because the Spurs with that number 2 pick, and they got 2 lottery picks, the Spurs could be all in on Giannis or Kevin Durant if they want to go that direction. I think Minnesota realizes they got to add something to Anthony Edwards for them to take their next step since they've been in the Western Conference Finals 2 years now. And the Warriors, their window is closing. They made the Jimmy Butler move. They're kind of locked into what they have right now with Steph, Jimmy, and Draymond. It's probably going to be some sort of trade with Kuminga to try to bring in another piece to that team. So I think a lot of trade movement, but not a lot of free agency signing.
Let me see what we got up here from these comments.
Would you guys rather Giannis or KD on the Knicks squad?
Giannis. Even though I do think the Knicks could use more shooting, but I just think Giannis is the better player of the two.
Yeah, but you think the structure of the squad. I mean, Giannis definitely a better player, but sometimes you maybe at this point in KD's career, and maybe with a different approach, understanding he's got to fit that sort of.
I don't trust Kevin Durant though.
Well, and also you guys' point earlier, you bring in a new coach, the KD coming in. I don't know if that's too much of a
it's
static.
Because if he don't respect the coach, then he's gonna try to get the coach out of there.
Right.
Yeah, I think you would have to have, if you're gonna go after Kevin Durant, the coach got to be a Mike Malone type. They got to be somebody that demands so much respect that KD would know it's like, I'm just coming in here to play ball. I can't even get caught up in none of the other things. The interesting thing about the Kevin Durant trade is that, so if you're the Knicks, on paper, Giannis sounds better, right? Giannis is 31 years old. Giannis, by most accounts, is the top 2, top 3 player in the league. If you can add him with Brunson, you feel like you have an opportunity, especially because next year the East is probably going to come down to the Knicks and Pacers again.
Yeah.
But in terms of the trade and what it's going to take to get Giannis, you're probably going to have to give up 2 or 3 pieces from that team. And this was already a team that was kind of light in terms of their bench depth and what else they had outside of their star power. Right. If you could trade Karl Anthony Towns for Kevin Durant straight up, and Phoenix is willing to take that, I think the Knicks got to seriously consider it. Because even though Kevin Durant is older, when you look at the timeline, Kevin Durant only has that 1 year left on the deal. So you're basically swinging for the fences next year. If it works or comes close, you can give Kevin Durant a 2-year extension and say, hey, look, we're going to extend this window for 2 seasons and try to see if we can win. Where it gets tricky for the Knicks is Karl Anthony Towns, after this season, makes like $57 million and then $60 million, and he's going to be due for an extension. If you get to the point where Karl Anthony Towns gets that extension, then you're fully locked in with this team. You would have really no mobility to change things up. So if you feel your time is now, I think you take Kevin Durant over Karl Anthony Towns for the next 2 years and say, let's try to win it right now. Mitchell Robinson has shown you that he can be your center for 30 minutes a night. Yeah. You put Kevin Durant at the 4. You try to keep Bridges, OG, and Brunson all together. And then you probably use Josh Hart, though I hate to trade him because I love Josh Hart. You probably trade Josh Hart. No, I love Josh Hart. But when I look at the team, if you could bring in Kevin Durant, if you could bring in a scorer like Kevin Durant to go with Brunson, then I try to use Hart to fill out the bench. Right. And if I could flip Josh Hart to get 2 quality pieces for my bench, maybe another shooter and a veteran big or something like that, now you have a little bit more of a complete roster. Right. So, the sympathetic side of me, as you mentioned it, I love Josh Hart. I love what he's done for the team. I love the energy he brings when he's on the court, but he has limitations. And if you can get a quality veteran shooter off your bench or a quality veteran point guard that can alleviate some of the pressure from Brunson, I think you have to do it because, again, this might be their window. Even though the Knicks, all their guys are under 30 years old, we know you don't keep getting opportunities every year to get back to the Eastern Conference Finals. You got to strike while the iron is hot.
Absolutely. 100%.
Devontae Harris says, what was it like meeting Rihanna? She as sexy in person as we see on TV.
Come on, man. This is a married man.
That's all right. Listen, Rihanna, I might have a hall pass with Rihanna, Rihanna, man, beautiful. That was crazy. I get asked that a lot, and then and I've met Jennifer Lopez now a couple of times where people say, "How was she in person?" And again, man, she's just another one, beautiful. Got to give them the flowers, man. You know, that's it's all love, it's all fair. But yeah, Rihanna was special, and J-Lo.
Rihanna's married too, so
yeah, you know, it's all good. J-Lo actually I've met J-Lo a few times actually, and every time, you know, she gets a tough rap. I think she's got a weird reputation that people talk as if she's just, you know, rude and stuck up and this and that. And again, you know what, to your guys' point, I guess everybody's got their bad days, but she was another one that was very sweet. And I felt like I walked away from that conversation like, you know what? It's nice again when you see somebody who's successful and as popular as they are, and it can still be nice and kind. So I'll remember that too. But yeah, Rihanna was dope. Shout out J-Lo, shout out Rihanna. A couple of my girls there.
What's the Spurs ceiling with a fully healthy Wemby next season?
I mean, I feel like the Spurs are making a lot of moves right now and been in the lab, you know, thinking longevity. I feel like they had to rebuild. I mean, what's this guy's name? This the rookie of the year. I mean,
Castle.
Yeah, I mean, he's a dog. Wemby's obviously, you know, an exciting player, and I feel like is going to do some incredible things for many years to come. But they definitely need to add some, you know, flavor to the mix. So again, you know, people talking Giannis, right? I mean, that could be a great addition there. But yeah, if you get a fully healthy Wemby, I mean, I feel like you know, they got a shot to be in the conversation, you know. And now you never know, man. With Pop, you know, Pop up top at the who knows, man? That you know, he's one of the best to ever do it. And I feel like there might be even though I'd love to still see him on the court, I feel like there might be a whole new energy with him, you know, in his new role as well. So I feel like
he'll still be around too. So
yeah, of course. I just think it's going to be an exciting time for San Antonio. I don't know if this is the year, but I feel like these next couple, there'll be some exciting changes, and obviously that all starts with a healthy Wemby.
Yeah, they'll definitely be in the mix if they stay healthy. Now, as constructed now, I would probably say play-in. Because again, it's not like this team was like just running cats out the gym, you know, when they were healthy, but they are young. So I will say I think they can make the playoffs if everybody stays healthy. But like I said, I think playing. Now, if you do go out and get a Giannis or a Kevin Durant, then that changes things completely. Because you add either one of those guys to this roster, and I think they're in contention.
Thanks.
Yeah, I think fully healthy Wemby would probably look like a top 10 player because that's what he was looking like last year before the blood clots. So with Wemby, I think they're a playoff team that probably has like a second round ceiling. I don't think they're good enough to beat Oklahoma City. I don't think they're good enough to beat Denver. I probably wouldn't put them ahead of Minnesota. I probably wouldn't put them ahead of the Rockets because I think the Rockets are a good young team. So I think there's at least 5 or 6 teams that are better than them. Second round might be the ceiling for them. But again, if they make a trade or if they keep that number 2 pick, if Dylan Harper's that pick, and Dylan Harper, by most people's accounts, is going to be a special player at the next level. Add another guy who a young talent to go with Stephon Castle. Don't forget they got De'Aaron Fox last year and Wemby. I think they're definitely a playoff team. They wouldn't be a title contender yet, but they would be taking the right steps to becoming that.
Absolutely. Definitely.
Brandon Chambers wants to know if we were at Kevin Durant's 60-point game at the Rucker or Kobe Bryant's game at the Rucker. Unfortunately, no. I would have loved to been at any one of those games, and we actually have a really good relationship with Rucker Park. We try to get over there as much as we can during the summer and support what's going on. But no, we weren't there for those games or the blackout game that never actually happened. I would have loved to even just been in there to even not see the game, just to be in that moment would have been dope.
Not a blackout game. I would have loved to been there. The Kobe game, no. The Kevin Durant, I was not at the Kevin Durant, but I remember hearing word about him being there because it was last minute. And then shout out to Mike Lowry, who we've had on before, the official MC of Rucker Park. He told us his story about it as well, where he kind of got the call an hour before when word started circulating through Harlem, like, yo, Kevin Durant's pulling up. And that's how the news circulated. I heard from people later that night, like, oh, Kevin Durant was at Rucker tonight. But that was like 2011. So that was obviously prior to Instagram. I don't think Twitter was even in existence yet. So it was one of the things that somebody had to actually call you and tell you, hey, this was happening. Because if not, you would never known about it.
Correct.
Ron Charles says NBA Finals ratings have been low. Is that due to small market teams and no Stephen Curry and no LeBron James? I mean, those two guys can always boost your ratings up, but neither one of those guys was in the finals last year. So I don't, I think it's more so that, it's two small market teams. So this is what you get. And that's why everybody, really wanted the Knicks to make it. Because then it would have been crazy. But yeah, I think that's really what it is.
Even NBA wanted the Knicks to make it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I think a lot of people won't admit it, but I think there was a little bit of an emotional letdown because when the Knicks beat Boston, you kind of had that wave of people that wanted to see the Knicks kind of break through, and when they didn't, it became like you said. All right, so what are we rooting for? There really is no storyline. If you're a basketball fan, you know who SGA is and you know who Halliburton is. But if you're a casual fan, you don't really know who those guys are. So there isn't anything to really market behind that. Whereas last year you had Boston, right, one of the premier NBA teams and cities, and then you had Luka Doncic. So you had something to market. I think this is a very tough situation for the NBA. It's good because it's young talent that gets showcased on this level. But for the casual fan, they're not going to be interested.
Yeah. This might be the one finals where the casual fan don't know nobody.
Right.
The team. So, all right, Nick, this one is for you. We're going back into the messy section. Shout out to
Imani, Messi.
She says, Nick, they call me the messy one on here. But have you had any adult scenes? And with you being married, how far would you go in terms of how much you would show?
That's a great question, actually. It's funny. People always ask me, like, what's it like with a sex scene and how difficult is it to shoot something like that? But it's actually like it's not sexy or romantic or intimate really in any way. You're in this on set with 50 cameramen and the lights and the mics and this and that. So it's really just business. I can see how it can get a little, if we're talking messy, right? We've heard stories about, certain situations, but, people show up to work and you got to keep it professional. You just you get the job done. Me personally, you always, as an actor, and this is me giving you like a textbook answer, but it is the truth. You want to obviously do the script justice and the story justice, but everybody's got their sort of, I guess, breaking points. For me, I'm not going to be the guy, full frontal running around hanging out. You know what I'm saying? That's just not me. But the sex scene I had, shirt was off. Whatever, we'll do what we got to do. But it's tricky. It's a little awkward, I'll be honest. But again, you want to be professional, and that also comes down when you want to have a good castmate and partner, and you kind of you make the best of it. But it is funny. It's an interesting thing. People ask me a lot about this, so I've only had one or two at this point, but it's definitely it's interesting. I'll say that.
Let me ask you this. I want to with the Oval, because your storyline on the Oval, your partner in the show, she's having an affair with the president. So I just want to know when you read that in the script, what was going through your mind?
Man, it's crazy. I mean, you know what? The Oval is so ridiculous. Some of these storylines, it's just so crazy, and that's the show, right? It's almost like so far-fetched. You're like, what is Tyler even thinking when he's writing this stuff down? But it was crazy. And you know what? You got to tap into real life sort of emotion and bring yourself there, right? To obviously translate to these feelings on camera. But yeah, some of the stuff is nuts. I mean, and then, you know, I won't say this is a spoiler. This was now a few seasons back, but, you know, even with Ellie, who was my girlfriend in the earlier seasons, you know, she was shot and killed right in front of me.
Yeah.
And there, it's like, you know, some of these things are crazy to kind of see and witness in person, even if it's on set. You know, there's been coworkers or co-stars I've had that have had to walk off set and almost catch their breath after a certain scene that's really got to their head, because some of these things are tough to deal with. So, you know, it's sort of a play-by-play, but, you know, again, you want to just keep your mind right when you approach these sort of situations.
Because you have to be so locked in to the character, right? If when you're going over the script, you see there might be a risky scene or risky content, is that a conversation you have with your wife ahead of time, or do you kind of let her see it play out, and so that way she enjoys it from a fan perspective? Because like you said, you gotta lock in.
Facts.
If let's say if it's an intimate scene, even if it's in a sex scene, but just an intimate scene, you know you gotta lock into that.
Yeah.
Is that something that you share with her ahead of time and say, let her watch it when it happens?
Yeah, no, I would share it, just because, you know, I feel like, you know, I'd rather just have the, you know, so it's not like a
bringing it on her.
Yeah, right, out of nowhere one day. But to be honest, the scenes that I've had haven't been too crazy where you know, it would make anybody too uncomfortable. So from my experiences now, it hasn't gotten to that point. But I guess to answer your question, I would always sort of keep her in the loop and you know. But what's cool now today, and I think this is because since the whole Me Too movement, is there's these intimacy coordinators that are on set with you, right? So everything's got to be signed off on. It's almost like a dance, or like it's like choreography at this point. So everything is really sort of a step-by-step, already rehearsed. It's like you guys are practicing a dance out there. So it kind of, you know, it kind of flows naturally, and there's no, you know, secrets or hidden BS that comes with it. So at least in my experiences so far, and every you know, at Top Pair Studios.
Yeah. I had my first, I just finished the film, and I had my first experience with an intimacy coach being on set, and it's actually interesting when you're watching the intimacy coach work with the actors to get them to the point of.
I mean, it's a real job now, and it's an important one. You know, I feel like again, speaking from my own experience, I haven't had anything get too messy or out of hand where I've had to, like, you know, sit down and really. But I've heard stories, and those intimacy coordinators, they're you know, it's a big deal to have those on set now. So you know, it's just another sort of piece of the game, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean,
but I do think, I will be honest with you, I do think of this sometimes when you. So for me, again, nothing too crazy, but then I think of a guy like a Brad Pitt who or you know, you think of these scenes that these guys are out in Hawaii with, having these crazy scenes with these. I'm like, that's got to take a whole different game. I'm like, that's crazy, because you see some of these scenes, especially today, like it's different than it used to be. Like there's definitely a lot more leeway, I feel like, in some of these scenes. So it's crazy. It's crazy.
Tyler actually surprised me with some of the stuff he got going on in these shows.
Ruthless is crazy.
Yeah, like that's the one where it's just like, get there.
Facts.
Because I'm like, wait, are we still on BET?
Right. Yeah. Crazy.
Will Gordon says, Nick, what are your personal favorite TV series and movies? Let's say top 3 all time of each, if you can.
Man, that's always tough to answer. Movies, I'd say I would have to personally throw like a Godfather, a Goodfellas. I got to put one of those in there. Just that would kind of check off that box for me. If you want to throw, I'll go kind of by category because it's tough to lock it in. Sports movie, I feel like I'll always go, and this is just me, but, you know, Remember the Titans or even a Coach Carter, just has always been like a go-to. But I could even say Wolf of Wall Street. You know what I'm saying? Like
good one.
I'm thinking of these rewatchable ones. You know, that you can, if they're on, you're still locked in. That's the first time. You know what I'm saying? Bad Boys, you know, was always one of those for me. Gladiator, the original. I mean, You know,
that was gonna be one of my 3.
Yeah, that's up there for sure. I mean, I can throw a few more at you. What about you guys?
Gladiator for sure, but I'm gonna say since you said Gladiator, I'm gonna say 300.
Okay.
I'm gonna say Goodfellas and Paid in Full.
There you go. Yep.
And then TV shows, The Wire.
Great show.
Man.
Yeah, TV shows is hard too.
Yeah, The Wire.
What kind of TV show? You drama, comedy?
Right.
Man. If we're talking comedy, it's got to be like Martin.
You know, also, like Entourage was like that's got to be up there for me.
Yeah.
I would say Entourage. I'd say Fresh Prince, just because it was just like a staple for me. And third, that's tough. I might have to come back to you on the third.
There's so many. Well, I'll tell you for me, because I'm a big horror movie guy. So Nightmare on Elm Street is always gonna be in my top 3 for movies. So Nightmare on Elm Street is up there for me. Life is up there for me. You gotta love Eddie and Martin Lawrence together. That's one of my faves. Oh man, dang, you're right. Now I'm stuck on my third.
Yeah, you're gonna get stuck, bro. It's too many.
It's always tough to answer, you know. Recently, I've been, I just started watching the. Have you guys watched The Last of Us?
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm in the second season of that right now. That's been fun to watch. The
last episode just came out too for the season.
So I'm gonna watch a couple tonight. I'm trying to catch up on season 2. I just finished. Do you guys see Paradise, the first season of that, or no? With Sterling K. Brown.
Yes.
Yes.
That was
great
dope.
show.
Yeah. There's been a couple of good shows recently, but it's hard to break it down. I mean, I got to sit and really think about the top 3, but I'll leave it at Entourage and Fresh Prince for now. If I'm gonna go, I'll throw 2 at you.
Yeah, I got the Wire, I got Martin, and then for my third TV, you know what? I just got to do it. I'm just gonna go throw General Hospital up there. I'm sorry.
Hey, I was not expecting that from you, but listen, hey.
I gotta throw it up there, man. It is what it is, man.
I see Will Gordon here says I look like a 2025 Vinny Chase. I'll take that, Will. I'll take that. Man, that show is. I could just whenever that's on, I could rewatch that constantly, man. That's just a ride, huh?
That's a fact. There was one more about straw up here. Let me get this question. They wanted to know your take on straw.
Have you guys seen it?
Yes.
I haven't seen it yet. I'm getting ready to watch it. I just got back.
It's dope. It's dope. I mean,
got a good twist. Got a good twist at the end.
Crazy, classic Tyler Perry fashion, throwing you for a little twist at the end. But you know, it's nutty because I feel like people again don't understand the way Tyler shoots unless you're really there. And Taraji shot that film in 3 or 4. All her scenes in like 3 days. Something crazy.
This is her second project with Tyler. Her second.
Might even be her third. She's been in a few, and she gives him a lot of credit just because he's been instrumental in her career and has. She just did an interview where she came out and said every raise that she's ever gotten was because of him. Because he's that guy who's gonna just make sure you're getting your worth, right, and your worth too. But it was great. It was a great movie. I think very powerful. I feel like the reviews have all been kind of leaning towards the same thing about just sisterhood and there's that bond when she'll see that kind of translates to real life, but and especially for single mothers. But yeah, it's great. And again, just another went number 1 on Netflix. Tyler's got his audience. They show up every time. So shout out all the TP fans. But I think this one will be talked about for a bit. So I loved it, and I think it's getting some great reviews. So, and Taraji, she's just dope. Man. She's just dope.
I love that the actors that I've spoken to, all have such positive, like great things to say about Tyler Perry.
Yeah. Well, like I said, man, I'm indebted to that guy. I'm always going to be giving him his flowers as long as I'm in this game, just because not only has he, made some of my dreams come true already, but just there's nobody who's just, I've met a lot of people and just so genuine, down to earth, and wants to help people. And that's, you can't ask for more, for somebody, especially at that top of their game like he is.
Facts. School Poop says the BET Awards tonight. And when was the last time the BET Awards were good, and why don't the big stars attend anymore? To me, the early 2010s, maybe.
Yeah, I think tonight might be actually pretty good. Kevin Hart's hosting. I know he's bringing out some big names. I believe TP will be there. I think he's presenting, if I'm not mistaken. Nice. I think tonight will be better than recent years. I don't know. I've been around now the network a bit, and I know it's been a focus to take it back to the days where it was talked about as one of the top award shows, period. So I know they're trying to head in that direction. We'll see, but yeah, I think tonight might be the start of a turn a corner. We'll see. I don't know who's performing. That's always a big thing. They used to have the BET Awards. The performances were always sort of the nucleus of the show. So we'll see what they bring out. It's just a different game too now. You see that the Drewskis and the Kai Sinet, these young guys. So I feel like the streamers and the social media has kind of shifted all these award shows in a way. But we'll see. We'll see what happens tonight.
This one is for us really quick. The Nikki Avery and I forgot the other chick I had on from New York. Are they still playing street ball?
I think you're talking about him.
No, he's talking Renee.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
They are still playing. Nikki's playing right now, as a matter of fact, because I just saw her. She posted something the other day. But yeah, they're definitely playing, and I'm sure they'll be playing again at the Rucker this summer, because they just haven't been beaten in the past couple of years. So I'm sure they'll be back at the Rucker this summer playing as well. Let me go to this one. So what does Boston do with Tatum out next season? I sometimes feel that Tatum has played so much basketball over the last few years, along with USA basketball, his body could have been worn down. This year will be great for him. What you think, Nick?
I mean, I was sad to see him get hurt. Obviously, as a Knick fan, I think I'll say it. I think there was a piece of me that I was like, took a little, exhaled a little bit, because I just think he's a beast, and I don't know. I feel like you guys could probably talk more about Tatum in terms of his style of play. I just feel like he gets you're either like a big Tatum guy, or you're gonna kind of be a tough critic on him. Yeah. But I don't know. I think maybe this year will be he'll get a little tougher mentality and come out a whole new beast. But it's tough to say. It's tough to say. To see even Halliburton, right, and him and Tatum didn't get too much play during the USA basketball run. Yeah. I feel like they both had a chip on their shoulder coming from that experience, So I think any kind of downfall or rocky road was going to make you better at the end of the day. So obviously, I hope for a speedy recovery, and I hope he comes back and is better than ever. Not from a Knicks fan perspective, but I'm rooting for him, of course.
Boston should tank it away so they could try to do what San Antonio did the year that David Robinson got hurt and they drafted Tim Duncan.
Yeah, I still think Boston's a good team. I was at the game after Tatum got hurt, and obviously we saw them get that win in Boston, right? Without Tatum, they have a lot of potential. They're still a youngish team, right? I mean, I wouldn't rule them out, but obviously Tatum's a key part of the puzzle there. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't go as far as saying the year also going to be great for him, because it's going to be a lot of rehab.
Yeah.
And it may take Tatum about a year and a half to get back to himself, because even when he gets back on the court, he might not be in game shape yet. It might take him a little while to get comfortable. Mm-hmm. Tatum is an amazing player, as I said. I think next year, if you're Boston, they got to figure out a way to get under the second apron of the cap, and that's why we first so much talk about them probably trading a guy or two, Porzingis, Holiday, Derek White, some combination of those guys. But to Trip's point, I mean, I just don't think they'll be bad enough to just like tear it down. Even if you keep Jaylen Brown, I think you're still a playoff team. Yeah. So unless they decide to trade Jaylen Brown, that's the only way they really could tank it away. But I think the next 2 years are going to be tough for Boston because the East is kind of caught up to them. They had the opportunity. As I said earlier, those windows close fast. Right. And Tatum and Brown, they've been in 4 Eastern Conference Finals. So they've had opportunities. They just, again, they only got one chip out of it. Now the rest of the conference is caught up. The Knicks are better. Indiana's better. I think Orlando's developing into a very good team. And depending on where Giannis goes, Boston for the next 2 to 3 years might be trying to figure out what direction they're going to go to get back in contention.
Yeah. Nick, this last question for you, and then we're going to get into the final thought segment.
All right.
Hoopballer Scoop says, Nick and Haron, if you're the Lakers brass, do you want LeBron to retire so we can go into the Luka era?
I mean, look, we know H ain't a LeBron guy, so I'm glad he's not here for this one. But I'm like, I'm a witness. You know what I'm saying? I feel like I've been the guy to always just be in awe of LeBron. I want to see him play and just do incredible things for as long as we get to. So I wouldn't want to rush him out and into retirement by any means, but I do think that, look, the Lakers are closer to the Luka era than not, right? I mean, how many more years do we have of LeBron? So for me, I'm just going to enjoy them. I mean, the guy's still playing at a high level. I mean, you can't say much about the physicalities there, but how old is he now? 40?
40, I think 40.
I mean, it's 41.
He'll be 41 later this year.
It's crazy. So I don't know. I mean, I guess to answer the question, I'm not trying to rush LeBron to retirement. I think we've been watching somebody do so many special things for so long. But in the Luka era, we'll get here when it's supposed to. And that'll also be an exciting time. But I love LeBron and what he's been able to do for the game. So
yeah.
I mean, if just off the premise of this question, if you're the Lakers brass, yes, you do want LeBron to retire. As fans, we don't. I think as long as you can play. Right, but for this question, if you're the Lakers, you want either Bron retires or Bron says, I'm willing to come back for the vet minimum. And that way you could just build a team around Luka because unfairly, LeBron does know his worth. Yeah. He's not a vet minimum guy in terms of.
I also think LeBron is also, he said it before too, like I don't think LeBron's going to be the type of guy who wants to cheapen the game and play past when he knows he's supposed to. You know what I'm saying?
He's on 8 points a game. He gonna hang it up.
Right. But I just even last year he was still playing at a high enough level where it's like, hey, I can be a contributor on a good team. We saw that. But the problem comes in though that you're gonna pay him as if he's one of the top 10 to 15 guys. Yeah. And if you're the Lakers, it's hard to build a team around Luka if LeBron is gonna be making almost $50 million a year.
Right.
That's one of them situations where you need LeBron to kind of take a lot less and say, all right, we can build this around Luka. And you can keep playing with Luka for the next year or two if you have enough in the tank. But that also gives us the room to go get the guys we need to really be competitive.
Facts. Yeah. No, that's a good question. That was a good question.
Yeah. We kind of agreed earlier, Malone or Kid. We spoke
my guy, Mark Jackson.
Yeah, Mark. Well, yeah, if we can get Mark Jackson, I'll take Mark Jackson as well. Nick, give us a final thought, man.
Anything specific, or we just go in general right now?
Whatever you want, man. It's your world.
All right. Well, I'll say this: if you're coming out Saturday to the Ballin for Peace game, your boy's gonna put up some buckets this year. My boy H said the teams aren't going to be too deep, which I'm happy about because I know last year my playing time was limited. I'm coming out swinging this year. I already told Shiggy. I told some of the others, man. I'm coming for my double. So I'll say that. But listen, this is great. I appreciate you guys having me on, and all the support from everybody that came to hang tonight. And be great out there, everybody listening. I'll say that. Be great. Don't be good. Be great.
We gotta get some get back for that Tobias Harris loss. So
that's a fact.
Out his way.
Hey, I just read too. Tobias is, I think, the highest paid NBA player still today that hasn't been on an All-Star, that hasn't made an All-Star team.
Yeah.
So that he's been around a while. And he's been doing just fine, that guy. So all jokes aside, I'm proud of him, and he's had a great career. So.
No, that's what's up. Eric, give us a final.
Could have gave me my county championship back in high school, but that's for another day.
We're gonna get the chip. You're gonna get the chip this weekend.
Right.
Final thought, as always, appreciate you, Nick, for taking the time to chop it up with us, man. Also, shout out to all the supporters, as always. Yeah, you look, man, we into overtime right now. We're going on almost 2 hours. They've been rocking with us, still sending questions in. If you don't have your tickets already, make sure you get your tickets for Ballin for Peace this weekend. It's always an amazing event. Haron always outdoes himself, so I'm very interested to see what he has in store for this year in comparison to what he's done in the past. You're not going to want to miss it. And shout out my brother Will Gordon. I see you, Will. We're gonna make that episode happen whenever you want. Battle that out on the fittest. We can do that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Again, make sure that you guys, if you are going to be in New York, it's going down June 14th this weekend. Get those tickets. It's going to be at John Jay College. Nick is going to get the MVP of the celebrity game. Okay, we got the 3-point shootout. We got the high school game. We got the vendors going to be out there. And, of course, we got the Real Fans, Real Talk sponsored slam dunk contest. Maxwell Pierce is going for number 3. So get there early. Don't even be on time. Get there early because you don't want to miss anything. And then my other final thought is going to be, make sure y'all caught up on the Oval, man.
There you go.
It's my show, man. Y'all better make sure y'all
check out Duplicity on Prime Video if you haven't seen it already too. It's a good one. Make sure to check that one out too.
Nick, let them know where they can get you at.
Yeah, Instagram, TikTok, all the social platforms. Just Nick Barrotta, NickBarrotta. You can follow me there, and I appreciate the love again. We're going on almost 2 hours now. I feel like I could sit here and chop it up another 2 hours. It's been great, man. I appreciate you guys for real.
We definitely gonna have you back. You know what I'm saying? As more projects come out, man. We appreciate you. For stopping by. We're gonna get some footage with you at the game as well. For all of you supporters, make sure you guys are following us on all our social media, Instagram, Twitter at Real Fan Talk, Facebook.com/Real Fans Real Talk, and of course subscribe to that YouTube channel, YouTube.com/For the Fans Productions. Oh, and if you're not in New York on Thursday nights and you can't watch us on Horizon 43 from 8 to 9 p.m., don't worry. Just hit up that website, realfansrealtalk.com, and click the red button on the homepage. You can watch from anywhere in the world. And make sure you subscribe to the 2 best podcasts moving. That's the Real Fans Real Talk podcast and the Sanchez Show. With that being said, for myself, Trip Young, my brother, my co-host, Eric Sanchez, a.k.a. Legend in 2 Games, H2O, even though he had to step away, daddy duties are calling. And Nick, man, we appreciate you once again so much for stopping through with us, man. We truly appreciate you for taking the time out because we know you got a busy schedule. You're doing a lot. So we definitely appreciate you, man.
All good. Anytime we can be back. We'll once we get this new Nick head coach and we see what's going on in this offseason, we'll bring it back and we'll
have a Nick special and have you back.
We'll chop it up some more. We'll see where we're at.
And not only will we do that, just bring the MVP trophy with you.
There you go.
Set it up in the back. Yeah, set it up in the back. Yeah, set it up in the back, and then we can really get into some things.
Exactly.
I appreciate you.
So with that being said, we up out of here. Peace.
This is Deion Grant from the New York Giants, Super Bowl champ, and you're watching Real Fans Real Talk.
Live from the can.
This is Real Fans Real Talk. Real Fans Real Talk. We as real as you thought. Real fans.